City Chairman in Emmanuel Mwamba, who is joining us via video conferencing. Good morning, Mr. Mwamba. Thank you for joining us on the Diamond Breakfast.
Morning to you in Lusaka.
Mr. Mwamba, let's discuss this extensively, and a concern that has come up is this issue of airing out tribal remarks, and this is generally what everybody now is talking about. Based off of what, Madam Mumbi Piri said, are you agreeable with some of these remarks that have come through that are condemning her sentiments about the East and the North?
We must be very, very clear. We've been leading the campaign against tribalism. We've highlighted the weaknesses in the UPND and in President Hakainde Hichilema's approach to our governance of our country. We have felt that he has divided the country, that he has made numerous appointments by tribal or regional orientation. We've condemned, for example, recent remarks by the Road Safety and Traffic Agency, RATSA CEO Emmanuel, Mwamba, who was caught in a recording, and we've demanded for his dismissal. The recent appointments by the president into foreign service, out of 6 appointments, 5 came from one region. We've been very strong against the practice of tribalism because we think it's divisive to our country. And that is why, as soon as we became aware of these remarks by our own, a member of Central Committee, a senior member and former Deputy Secretary General of the party, we immediately condemned the remarks and we distanced the party from us. First of all, we have called on the Secretary General, Mr. Nakachinda, to deal with this matter. We have felt that Mr. Nakachinda should demand for a report on this matter, and Mr. Nakachinda must ensure that this matter is dealt with. The PF is a national party. The Patriotic Front has a national character. We have members who are from Northwestern Province, who are from Western Province, who are from Southern Province, who are from all over. So it's therefore unacceptable that anyone would base their campaigns for the presidency on tribal orientation.
Now, Mr. Mwamba, you've been calling for those in the ruling administration, to be dismissed or fired, expelled, or whatever. Is that the same energy you're carrying with Madam Mumbi Piri? Are we looking, or are you looking for an expulsion, a sense of dismissal? I mean, for somebody to be of such leadership, high leadership within the party, and exhibiting such language, what are you calling for? Are we looking at a dismissal, an expulsion from the party here? If you can call for that from a ruling administration, what about in your own camp, in your own house? How are you dealing with this matter?
So we have immediately called for a formal investigation, and that the Secretary General must immediately summon or write to Honorable Mumbi Piri to exculpate herself. Informally, I spoke to her, and she expressed concern that, first of all, the audio itself was a discussion within the Central Committee, and she was expressing concern that audio found itself leaked. We said, and I said that I think what was important was that, did she issue those remarks? She said she did, but she'd been misunderstood. She was talking about regional voting and voting patterns in the country, where the UPND has its stronghold in Northwestern, Western and Southern Province, while the PF has previously enjoyed its support from Eastern, Muchinga, Luapula and Northern. So she said she was talking about the makeup of the stronghold. And that is why we have immediately called on the Secretary General to investigate these remarks. But on the outset, the remarks, if you listen to the audio, are tribal and are unacceptable, and we have condemned them before we even establish the circumstances under which those remarks were made. We shouldn't base or found our leadership trait. For us, as a member of any member of the Patriotic Front from wherever they are suitable to qualify and stand for any leadership position, whether you are from Western Province or you are from Eastern Province or you are from Northwestern Province. If you are a member of the Patriotic Front and you meet the requisite, you are eligible to stand. And we think that we are a national party in nature, national character. We have membership from Shangombo to Lundazi. We have membership from Kaputa to Zambezi, and we shouldn't feel that there is a superior class of leaders that should come from a certain region. We have spoken very strongly against that, and I think President Edgar Lungu led the Patriotic Front in that manner, that we should condemn tribalism and that we should balance the interest of the party and the country first. So the remarks from Honorable Mumbi Piri are unacceptable, and we've called for an investigation, and we hope that Secretary General will deal with the matter effectively.
Indeed, it should be condemned by everybody. And we have seen also the UPND condemn those remarks aired by Madam Mumbi Piri there. But even with the UPND saying that this is a betrayal to the sacrifices that our forefathers put in, what would be your response to their reaction to this?
We must make it very clear that President Hakainde Hichilema is the most divisive president our country has ever had among our 7 presidents. He has promoted regional and tribal practices. He has entrenched. If you look at the service chiefs, if you look at the appointments among permanent secretaries, if you look at the appointments of whoever is leading any state agency, you find that the bulk of the numbers is from one region. That's totally unacceptable. They will use cabinet and attempt to show that, look, we have people like Chipoka Mulenga and others, but we have pointed out how entrenched the tribalism is. And remember, President Hakainde Hichilema came into office that he will fight tribalism. He said President Lungu was tribal. He says his cabinet merely had people from other regions. So the country voted for him to end the practice. If you look at the number of civil servants that have been deployed, that have been packed at Public Service Management Division and at Cabinet Office, over 420 civil servants, all of them from one region of the country. And if you look at the people that replace them, again, almost all of them from the other part of the country. You cannot run a country in that manner. So the UPND's exploiting the issue of Mumbi Piri is, first of all, highly hypocritical. We have challenged President Hakainde Hichilema that at his founding, at his election in 2006, he had Rex Intala, Ngande Mwanajiti, the late Sejani, Axon Sejani, who said only a Tonga can lead the PF. The vice president, you remember, was Bob Schinga and Sakwiba Scotta. Those remarks are documented. They were condemned in 2006. And we've said the mistake President Hakainde Hichilema made was he refused to distance himself from these people. Look at the glowing tribute he gave Axon Sejani, the very man who issued such tribal remarks. He rewarded them and gave them a high position when he became president. So the UPND and President Hakainde Hichilema have no right, and it's mere hypocrisy if they want to jump on the mistakes that Mama Mumbi Piri has made. Mumbi Piri has been, is a selfless leader. She has sacrificed. She was jailed for 429 days. She was jailed by another 3 months in Wapula. She sacrificed for the party. And for some of us, it's so painful to see that she's the one that could utter such remarks, because she's been a national leader, a member of parliament, a diplomat, and she should know best not even to utter such words. So in the moment of carelessness, we still have to condemn her strongly despite her sacrifices. But for the UPND to jump on the idea, come on. They are attempting to remove the speck in the PF's eye when they've got a whole log in the eyes of President Hakainde Hichilema. President Hakainde Hichilema must stop tribalism. He must fire the RAPSA CEO. He must ensure that the appointments are fair And he must ensure that the country is far vast than one region. But here we are, a country deeply divided, almost reaching a failed state because of the tensions and political tensions that are in the country, because of the manner he's been ruling the country and the manner he has promoted this hegemony and tribalism.
Let's talk about this issue of airing out tribal remarks. One would say that this is nothing strange and that we've been able to hear it from one regime after another. Wouldn't you agree with me that this seems to be a political sort of strategy that will garner numbers? And I ask this question based off of one thing, that we have seen how extensively now this Mumbi Piri issue is being talked about. Wouldn't you agree that this to some extent could be considered as just a political strategy?
It's not a political strategy. It's part of where we are, what has caused division in the country. Let's put it very plainly. The UPND is led by Tonga, and the stronghold is in Southern Province. The PF was led by Bemba, and the stronghold was in the Bemba. That in itself is wrong. Our political parties must transcend the rise in regional politics. We've entrenched the rise of this tribalism in our politics. Yet our people live as one. They've intermarried. In fact, the young voter and youths don't even understand these regional politics. But you can see why people are trying to misread that this is a matter of strategy, that because the UPND, founded by Tonga, has a stronghold in the south, and the PF also has a stronghold in the north, together with their Mbuyas, and the Tongas, together with the Mbuyas, also hold the other stronghold. That status quo is already wrong. Political parties must have a national character. They mustn't draw their strength and stronghold from the tribe where their leader or their founding leaders come from. That in itself is wrong, which we have been attempting to cure. And that is why you find that in the national documents, a presidential candidate must draw maybe 100 supporters from each province. This is to ensure that legality tries to draw this immorality that has emerged in politics and the tribalism and regionalism that has emerged in politics, where our country is unified by the force of the law. That is why the president has to show, according to Articles 9 and 10, even in his appointments, he has to demonstrate not just merit, but national character of the country. That's why you will remember that Sean Tembo took the president's appointments to court, and he wanted the Constitutional Court to rule that the president had divided the country by virtue of the appointments he makes. So we must not apologize. What we must be doing is now to cure what we've established. Can I form a party and draw support from across the country, using ideas and issues that can develop the country, not using my tribe or my tribal orientation?
But Mr. Mwamba, do you think you as politicians are the divisive ones here? Because, like you mentioned, we've got people's homes have mixed tribes, mixed culture. But when it comes to political ideologies and so on, that we see a lot of tribalism, take center stage. Are you politicians deliberately tribal?
We need to call a spade a spade. The politics are somehow tribalized, and we shouldn't go the Kenyan way, where it has become normal to even discuss tribe and what a candidate brings to the table.
So are you politicians the problem? Are you the politicians the problem?
I can readily admit that in our social fabric, tribalism and tribal talk is among politicians. They are exploiting their tribes to draw support. They are using tribe to draw strength from their supporters, where they take advantage of the gullible that I'm one of you, therefore I'm your son, vote for me. our people, sadly for those politicians, our people, if you look at the voting register, it's a voting register of young people that don't understand tribalism. Some are Muvita Mwamba. They are Nyirenda, Nyirenda Mwonga. So how will you tell such a child that vote for me based on my tribe? So the politicians that are promoting issues of tribe and regional politics, including President Hakainde Hichilema, are living in the past. And this is not ideal for our country. Our country needs to be united, and our country needs to focus on the issues of what can we do to develop our country? What can we do with our natural resources, our mineral resources? What can we do with agriculture? How can we deploy resources to exploit the potential that lie across our country? Those are the issues, not where one comes from. So it's regrettable that first we have an issue of Mumbi Piri, but we should use it as an ideal situation to call President Hakainde Hichilema's tribalism. We bring it to the surface. He has brought laws that criminalizes hate speech and tribal talk, yet he doesn't practice them.
So, Mr. Mwamba, just on that note, the Patriotic Front would like to come back in 2026 to be the ruling administration. So, by leading by example, showing that even within the Patriotic Front, tribalism will not be tolerated. How do you think, this case involving Madam Mumbi Piri should be dealt with? Should she be expelled from the party?
As my condemnation has already demonstrated that the PF will not tolerate tribalism, our presidential candidates are encouraged to push issues, not tribe, not ethnic orientation. Our candidates are directed by our own manifesto and our own constitution. We are a multi-ethnic political party with national character. It's not acceptable. Tribalism is not acceptable in our political party. I don't want to prejudice the outcome because the matter requires investigation. We have already some preliminary material, such as the audio, that I think the Secretary General will take up, and then it might be referred to a disciplinary hearing, and let's see how the matter will play out when all the facts are on the table. I just don't want to preempt and make judgment when I do not have sufficient information. But from the outset, like I emphasized, is that the material so far received makes us make these strong comments and condemn those tribal remarks.
It's just 10 months before the 2026 general elections, and it's unfortunate that we are having a conversation around tribal remarks by a leader. Mr. Mwamba, my question to you would be, how are you as the Patriotic Front now positioning yourself in ensuring that we do not see a continuation of such remarks?
We've been under assault since 2023. The president, we always say the president of the Patriotic Front is literally President Hakainde Hichilema, using his surrogates. This time he's using the expelled MP from Mafinga, Robert Chavinga, as president of the PF. There have been great attempts to destroy democracy in our country. There's been great attempts to disenfranchise the PF, that the PF is on the ballot. And that's why we've been appealing to Zambians that, look, the attempts to destroy and steal the PF is not an attack on the Patriotic Front, it's an attack on democracy. President Hakainde Hichilema is very determined that he wants to use his surrogates that he has, and his actions, legal actions, what he has done at the Registrar of Societies, to disenfranchise the PF and its members, to force the PF to decamp from the Patriotic Front. But President Hakainde Hichilema must know that this is an attack against democracy and the rule of law. We are a multi-party state, and President Hakainde Hichilema is encouraged to stop the machinations he's been engaged in. We have evidence, and we've laid it on the table, that President Hakainde Hichilema has been meddling in the affairs of the Patriotic Front. And this is harmful to our democracy. It harms the possibility of having a free and fair elections for 2026. We are ready. We are preparing for a conference. You've heard that Chavinga has been boasting that with the state, they will not allow us to have a conference because he claims he has the papers and therefore he's a rightful leader. Even when we know that that is an entire illegal process perpetrated by the state, a crime against democracy. But we are determined to forge ahead, get a leader amongst ourselves, and present him to members of the opposition leaders, and together maybe form a united front to challenge President Hakainde Hichilema in 2026. We are very confident that Zambians will not vote for President Hakainde Hichilema. If you look at the cost of living crisis, the way he's abused the law, his attacks on democracy, the hunger he has failed to cure in our country, just the devastation that our people are facing, we are very confident that our people will rise to remove him. He has attempted to destroy independent institutions such as the judiciary and parliament and the Electoral Commission of Zambia.
Right.
We know that our people rose in 2021, punished the PF to attempt to put our country, on a good footing to be democratic, to promote human rights and bring development, bring jobs, exploit the opportunities that are in our country. And President Hakainde Hichilema has failed lamentably on all those scores. So his time is up. Our people will vote for him out. So his desperate attacks on the PF is to make himself the only credible leader, so-called credible leader in 2026 by locking up opponents, jailing opponents, excluding a major political party like the Patriotic Front from elections. He knows that he's on his way out, but he wants to use his machinations to exclude the PF.
It's not for you to say. I think we'll leave it to the electorate to cast their vote in 2026. But let's quickly conclude with this, Mr. Mwamba. Let's talk about what was recently released, the Auditor General's report for the year ended 2024, 31st December. I'd like to just get your sentiments towards what has been highlighted with the financial irregularities and mismanagement of funds within this Auditor General's report.
In fact, we know the scale of abuse is far deeper than what has been highlighted by the Auditor General. The extent of the theft of public resources, if you look at other reports like the Financial Intelligence Center report, the trends report, it shows a scale of corruption that is far higher than even what the Auditor General is depicting. Remember, we've condemned the lack of a true Auditor General at the National Audit Office. We don't have an Auditor General 3 years in a row. The man that is sitting in there, Dr. Ron Mwamba, is merely acting. You cannot act beyond 6 months. This compromises the work of the National Audit Office. It also puts at risk national resources because they can't be audited properly by a compromised Auditor General. So the first thing we have called for is that the Auditor General must be a substantive holder. You cannot allow one to act for 3 years in that position. So even the report that they published, if you compare, like I said, to the FIC, which has said there's been illicit financial flows of up to $3.5 billion, and the amount of money that remains unaccounted for is so high. So although the auditors attempted to expose this like $3.6 million that is not accounted for this figure, we think that that's just token. Let's go to the deeper rot, and we should start by ensuring that the Auditor General is appointed. An advert should be put out there. A qualified auditor should then be appointed and ratified by Parliament. That way, when that office is independent, when the Auditor General is not looking for favors from anyone, they will expose the extent and drought of corruption that is occurring in the country. So I've looked at the audit report. I've seen the matters they brought out at Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agriculture and others. Yeah, they are of concern, but our concern as the opposition is that give us a substantive Auditor General.
Right. Well, Mr. Mwamba, I would like to thank you for joining us this morning on the Diamond Breakfast.
Thank you, Tim, and good morning to our dear viewers, thank you very much, and thank you to you and your team for affording us this opportunity. God bless you.
Indeed, thank you. That's our conversation there with the Information and Publicity Chairman from the Patriotic Front, Emmanuel Mwamba. Our conversation centered around the tribal remarks aired by Mumbi Piri from the Patriotic Front, and we're yet to get to hear what her fate will be based off of what Mr. Mwamba is saying, that this matter is currently being investigated internally by the Patriotic Front themselves, and the Secretary General will be able to give a conclusive feedback on this issue. We take a break. We'll be right back.
To know where we're going, we must remember where we're coming from. Boom. Never forget home.
Unit Total Industries produces, delivers, and installs top quality indoor and outdoor blinds of many types. Choose from Venetian, Roman, wooden, roller, zebra, bamboo, and vertical blinds. Also choose your window and door awnings in the design of basket, wedge, and polycabinet awnings. Our fine selection of carpet tiles comes in different colors, shades, styles, patterns for every environment at home.